Y'all know that I am a daycare teacher. I'm a teacher, and you have parents out there, teachers out there, who likes to, you know, when kids, they don't, comprehend or don't understand, we have to use, what? Our voice, correct? Yes. But the type of voice I'm talking about is yelling. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a common move for parents to raise their voice when their kids act up, right? Yes, but get this, you guys, because according to a new study in the Journal of Child Abuse and Neglect, shouting at children can be as damaging, get this here, as physical and sexual abuse. This is what experts say. It's not just the yelling, it's what you're yelling at them about. And it's what you say to them that matters. Oh, that's interesting. I'm sorry, but that has nothing, they should not even put that category together because that has nothing to do with yelling, with abuse, physical and sexual abuse. That has nothing to, why they even tie that? I'm sorry, experts, but you're wrong to that. But I will agree to what it says here. It's not just the yelling, it's what you're yelling at them about. Yeah, quite honestly, yeah, because for me, for example, yeah, because I'm sorry, I'm just going to say this. There's some kids that you just have to yell at. I'm sorry. There are some kids that you just have to yell at to get their attention. Point blank simple, just as with teachers, there's some students that you're going to have to yell at, to get their attention. With me at work, do I be raising my voice and yelling? I do be raising my voice, but I don't be. Danny, be careful here. No, I don't be yelling. I just be raising my voice. But that's not, to me, that's not yelling, because yelling, which is, I'm not going to demonstrate on here. And I think there's a difference between yelling and raising your voice. And just like it says here, it quite depends on what you're yelling about to them. So let's say, you're yelling at them about, pick up those toys, like, pick up those toys. Okay, that's to me, for me, in my case, that's raising your voice of how I was just doing it. But if I was, like yelling, that would be at the top of my lungs, which I can't do right now because I'm still trying to save my voice here. But yeah, there's a difference between yelling and raising your voice. So you got to be careful because, there are some kids that you just cannot yell at or possibly raise your voice at because that makes them feel uncomfortable for some reason. They don't like that, this and that. I know there's many other reasons, but yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. But let me pose this question here, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. Do you think yelling or even raising your voice is good for kids in general at all? For me, just like I said earlier, yes, to some kids though. I'm not talking about all children, but there are some kids that you have to raise your voice at to get, to get their attention or whatever it may be. Sorry, that's coming from Damian Anderson here. Okay, because you know how kids are these days. You guys know, and these kids, they can do whatever they want to. That's a no deal. Because some of these kids act like that they don't pay attention to you, that they rule everything. They run the world. They run the classroom. And they want to do things their way. And especially little ones. Like, no, you don't get to do things your way. You either listen to me, or me and you, we're going to have a problem. Mm-hmm. Don't test my buttons because I'm the adult. You listen. You're the child for a reason. It's not the other way around where I'm the child, I'm the student, and you're the adult, you're the teacher. Nah, nah. This is my classroom. You're gonna obey by my rules, my expectations, my boundaries, and we're gonna get along very, very well, and we're gonna have a great time. But if not, then things are gonna be bad for you. And whose fault that is? That's your fault. That's not me. That's not my fault. Because I did my job. I did my responsibility of what I need to do. Keep on telling you over and over and over. I don't have to keep on repeating myself 10 times every day. You either need to get it 1 to 2 to 3 times, but 1 to 2 times at least. If I keep on repeating myself after the third time, and goes to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 20, 100, we got a problem. Me and you gonna have a problem because what you're not understanding, what you're not getting. I know at that age, kids, are still developing, this and that. But hey, when an adult tells you to do something, you do it. You don't have a feeling. I want to play. I want to do this and that. You know how kids are. Go ahead, do all of that. That's not going to make me feel better. That's not going to change nothing. Because you did this on yourself. So now there's going to be what? Consequences, right? No playtime, no this, no that, and you put it on yourself. You put it on yourself, not me, okay? So I could go on and on about this. We got to, be careful. I'm just have to say that as adults, we got to be careful because we don't want to cross, that boundary, if you know what I mean. Okay, and I'm gonna just leave it at that. But you guys let me know what are your thoughts on this. Do you agree with this new study here that yelling at kids, it portrays, that it's about talk about physical and sexual abuse? Let me hear your thoughts about it. Because I would love to hear. Seriously, I would love to hear because I don't agree. Sorry. I don't agree with this, with the sexual abuse, physical abuse. Like, why tie that into that category in the first place? You know what I mean? So, yeah.